This week on Hermitcraft.
Nether sheep.
Welcome to the Hermitcraft Recap. My name is Pixel Riffs, our writer is LoyXP, and content ID be damned. Yes, we could still be flagged for that. Don't underestimate the platform. As the community diamond stockpile grows bigger, shaping the diamond throne, dozens of fan suggestions will have to wait. The fate of the motherlode will be decided by the result of the elections hermits will soon be holding. This week at last outlines the approximate rules of campaigning, so campaign we shall. Give us your best pitch for your favourite candidate in the comments. Just remember, no fighting. We actually read those, you know. The intrigue, however, goes far beyond the polls, as is usual with this server, so let's take a look at all the events and mishaps that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week.
Okay, I just want to let Cub know that he really likes orange guys.
That is most definitely not true. So we got to take that out for sure. Let me boost.
Starting with our esteemed colleagues Cubfan and Zombie Cleo, whose role as the press will get much more pivotal and lucrative in the coming weeks. To help with the workload, the two agree to outsource some of their journalism to the unpaid interns in the audience.
For sure. Yeah, we can use some of these profits to hire, maybe. I'm just going to take a couple of these. 3, 4. There we go. What?
Lowball them. It's a hermit. They're not going to know what a standard reporter makes, are they?
For now, though, the second issue of the Herald comes out without a hitch, telling the tale of upcoming elections, heralding, if you will, the absolute free-for-all that they will no doubt become. Cubfan's community service for the week is much more direct. In one swoop across the commercial district, he plops down an ender chest at every storefront that doesn't have one. Plus, the green team receives a nice bonus in the form of a cozy waiting room at the bottom, complete with thematically appropriate gambling.
We have a green button training station here. Yeah, effectively, if you hit this button when this green lamp is lit, then you get a prize.
The home triangle too gets a significant upgrade after Cub installs a 14 tall and Cub's face wide piston door at the entrance, behind which you will find a bamboo farm like no other. It goes
I like it.
Ironically, the one person the green team skips out on is Zombie Cleo, who bypasses the colour entirely and goes directly red, almost completely on accident.
To be ideally, I would go for orange, because that's my normal hair colour. Ooh. Okay, I missed that turning.
Miraculously, in this workload, she still finds the time to deliver on the armor stand vouchers she distributed before. This time around, it's Corrales who comes knocking with an IOU, and she builds a whole lot of hard hat workers for him all around the construction base, along with a memorial scene of that one time his face was not murderated by Etho. Her old colour is picked up by Etho, and yes, he knows there's a song for that. You know what else is blue? The diamond blocks he's now building parts of his base with. For anybody else this would be a flex, but Etho claims it's all about colour theory, and also bamboo and llamas. At least he can afford to, since everyone's buying into the opportunity for a lifetime supply of glass at Shady Ease, and by popular demand he adds some fluffy edges to the ice cloud above the shop and to the island supporting it from below. A different pile of blue blocks might await a whole other fate. Whoever ends up being mayor, Joe Hills is pretty sure they won't let him cover all the shopping district diamonds in lava, which is why he decides to run for the position of dog catcher, arguing that dogs and diamonds are basically made out of the same elements anyway. Hoping to achieve some leverage over his server mates, Joe fills the district with dogs he can Pied Piper away when called upon to do so, and returns to the Strait of Gibraltar to reenact an historic lighthouse.
I can now load the virtual world of Reboot. So we are now trapped inside of a computer game.
The ranks of the Red Belt team increase by at least one more as Iscal85 steps up and does his good deed this week, keeping the button alive. I guess it wasn't that easy being green after all.
Well, this has been a really weird start to an episode, but I guess a very productive one.
And he continues the theme of exchanging green things for red things by building up a creeper farm for rockets and TNT production. Or rather, he sets up the factory surroundings for it, then decides it'd look better with a Godzilla-scale creeper bursting out of the side.
I'm not gonna lie, I am super happy with how this turned out.
Tango Tech is not far behind with his own rocket crafting apparatus, even if his pizzazz mostly lies in juggling the materials around before mass delivery right into the crafter's face. The paper is coming from inside the house too. In place of the slime block harvester, Tango has developed his own sugarcane farm design that is much more reliable and lossless, even if it uses many more pistons than its predecessor.
I got fed up with it. Flying machines broke twice in the span of like 3 days, so I tore the whole thing out in live stream. And I redesigned a new sugarcane farm myself. If you want a tutorial for it and you're interested, please let me know.
His other overly productive farm comes in handy as well. Bdubs is a little concerned about the Boomers' image, since they've had a couple of mishaps on their recent jobs, but after a meeting with Tango, they decide all they need to do is give the company a rebrand and a facelift. Luckily for them, Tango knows somewhere they can get 100 stacks of wool, and the new Boomers logo seems a lot more optimistic.
That looks nice. Guys, this is gonna do the trick, I think. I can't believe it's done! Oh, Tango's amazing. Oh, that saved several hours of work. What a guy.
Speaking of saving faces, a grand opportunity for that presents itself to Mumbo when Xisuma approaches him for an interview he didn't study for.
I only found out I was becoming mayor like a couple days ago.
What do you plan on being mayor of?
I guess I plan on being mayor of all of Hermitcraft, mayor of everything.
He may be on the yellow team, but that doesn't stop Mumbo from being green with envy. Still not convinced to lower his own rank, Mumbo instead focuses on more worthwhile green stuff, optimizing his villager trading area for maximum emerald output by zombifying and curing anyone who'll buy farm fresh iron ingots. It is at some point during this process that he discovers his own mayoral campaign. And that's when Xisuma shows up reporting for the Hermiton Herald, asking about his plans for the shopping district and how he eats his breakfast cereal. Luckily, the candidate has his own paper, what with the industrial sugarcane farm, which may, have some unexpected benefits.
This sweeper is bringing with it, well, let's just say, I really hope they don't blow that thing up.
As Xisumavoid's freelancing doesn't stop there, Keralis needs his kelp dried, and it's only polite to make a smoker-based mega furnace for the cause. Then he and XB Crafted strike a deal on the Beacon to Redstone exchange. One man's witch farm is another man's treasure, so X will provide XB the red powder, while XB obliges to deliver 1 beacon per month in exchange, which really makes us want to do a beacon party in the comments every 4 episodes of our show.
I think it's okay,
So,
especially if you enjoy fighting with us.
Right. I will say that after the 116 Nether reset, that beacon may take a little bit longer than others.
Well, you got to stock up then.
XB Crafted, still on the green team, takes advantage of the discounts at Cub's quartz shop and puts it all to good use, starting his floating island base. The structure he builds cradling the island in its grasp looks like an awesome cross between an Ark obelisk and a Gashapon capsule, and it is futuristic as all heck. It does mean he's relying on the server's concrete shops, but between them and the sand and gravel at Grian's barge, he's got plenty of material. And there's one less build to worry about when Bdubs offers to relocate and redesign his redstone store away from the newly built Townhall. On his trip out of the Mumbo fanbase, Xisuma also snatches a neat nether portal design that feels right at home in his jungle hive, what with it being honeycomb shaped.
And I also scrolled down to the comments and noticed the top one was, "This is really cool, but it suits Xisuma's base more, to be honest."
But speaking of his bee brethren, he and Keralis start a lot of buzz around their concrete shop. Even if it is ready to welcome new customers, now interior complete, even with a beautiful garage at the side for big purchases, their competitors have had a leg up on them for weeks. So the strat to take back the market is to go low and offer cheaper concrete out of the looky at my alpaca storefront, and maybe win some returning customers to later jack up the prices on. In response, the llama dad of Vintage Beef infiltrates Keralis' compound to sneak out one of the llamas, although he may not have been as subtle as he thought. His gambit is twofold. Now familiar with the smell of gunpowder, not least because he set up a creeper farm for music disc mass production, he starts to suspect his tourist destination shipwreck may not have been set on fire entirely by accident. The experience with being creeped out comes in handy later, when Beef gets invited to answer Zedap's latest question, what would happen if we gave worms TNT? Which goes about as well as you'd expect.
I found diamonds! I mined some!
I might explode them now!
I know you might. There are some flaws to the system.
Forwards.
Oh no!
Ironically, this might be a fun netherite mining strat, seeing as how netherrack is much less blast-proof than stone. Sure, they'll need quite a bit of fire resistance, but that's what server mates are for. With Pufferfish and Phantom Membrane now farming themselves automatically, Stress Monster's potion business only needs a few more preparations before the grand opening, some villagers to buy redstone dust and glowstone from, a rabbit and turtle breeding program, and a more industrial netherwart farm. With most of that taken care of, the Monster's Brew potion shop can officially open, under the roots of the custom willow tree and under the supervision of a recently orange-belted Stress Monster.
So everyone, you can now go on over to your favouriteest Hermitcraft videos, which of course is going to be everybody's, and tell them all that the potion shop is now all stocked and ready!
False Symmetry has much less arcane ways of digging, though having started clearing out the next part of the island to the bedrock level, she decides to leave it to those of us who have a map logo instead. And really, a much better use of her time is shaping up of the main base's tower. She goes for blue accents, adding aqueducts and waterways leading to it. Though the expansion of the build comes at a very high price, she'll need a whole wool auto farm just for the spawn-proofing carpets.
All of which has taken me a long while. It's kind of insane how long even the smallest tasks take.
Out on the sea, Jevin expands his base at the price of minor villager confinement. The 4 crop farms on the corners of the main facility will provide food of all kinds, while the floating mob grinder will rake in the diamonds. It just needs the right kind of motivation. Naming his service AFK Delights, Jevin starts selling passes to the contraption. The price is right too, the monster box is expanded to 4 times its original size.
So good rates. Let's check the drops real fast. We had about a half a chest down here. This thing is filling up pretty quickly. One bottleneck that I have found is that the hoppers are just not fast enough to transfer the amount of items that we are getting from this thing. Look at all the juicy, delicious mobs.
Hypno, in the meantime, goes subnautical, but only to help the islands of his archipelago reach the bottom of the sea they're placed in. Luckily, he's got the sponges for it, and to help with the rates of his creeper farm, Hypno dries and flattens the insides of the landscape, along with torching the local caves and crevasses. Now, if only those rates would stop escaping the contraption, or at least told him how they're doing it.
You know, I was sitting here watching this thing for a while, and I saw this little guy down here on the ground. I thought we had fixed it, so there's nowhere else for these creepers to go, but apparently there is still a slight possibility that they can get out.
In a neat bit of synergy, so does Grian in a marathon effort to make his mega basement presentable for all that redstone coming. His main impact, of course, is felt in the Community Townhall project. Joining forces with Scar and Bdubs, they complete the whole Townhall overnight, and it's a project well worth losing sleep over.
Alright, let's start this build then, dude. Let's start this build. You ready?
Okay. Alright, yeah. Let's start the build in the morning.
Okay, I'm out of punch range. All right, go for it.
We'll stand over here.
All right, have a great night's sleep, guys.
Once the 3 split for the day, Bdubs pulls out his carpenter skills, so whoever has to sit on the uncomfortable yet delicious chair of richness at least has something nice to look at. Scar does his share of work on the hill around the place, and a well-kept lawn helps make the estate look even more official. Much more greenery, of course, awaits in his magic village, and awaits a smidge heavier, burdened by the many Ewok bridges and wooden huts tying the overgrown Arborians together. And finally, there's Impulse SV, who has business to attend to both above and below his base. The old kelp farm is torn out and rebuilt along one wall, making room for a passive drowned farm. When villagers prove to be unreliable bait, Impulse settles for slightly less attractive sets of turtle eggs. The result is slower than he'd like, but at least it returns a couple of easy tridents. With the upper section of his base still expanding, he discovers the mayoral campaign via the Hermitan Herald, although something seems familiar about that town hall. We suspect time travel may be involved.
This reminds me of that building from Back to the Future where the lightning struck the clock and they were hanging from the cable to get the car to get struck by lightning. Anyway, this is an amazing looking building. Very, very nice.
And that's about it for this week's recap. Our writer is LoyXP, and my name is Pixelriffs. And if you think Hermitcraft is the only thing we overthink, guess again. Zloy's latest Overthinking Minecraft video is linked in the end screen theatre. Tune in to hear him explain why illagers are responsible for zombifying pigmen. Don't forget to leave a like while you're here and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.